Men, and as usual, I use the term ever so loosely. Yeah, they all have a story. Some of the stories, I'm sure, are long and sad. Previous owner picked his real nice bike up yesterday. This owner dropped this bike off today. He wants me to get it running but not driving. Doesn't want me to touch the chassis. God only knows the chassis needs some touching. I'm probably not going to video a lot of this. I might video, I don't know, a few things that I find interesting along the way. What those things might be, I don't know. But I'm fixing to take it apart. Supposedly it has no compression. It's a 60s era. He's got no carb, he's got no magneto. He's authorized a new carb and a new magneto. Right there's pretty near $2,000 worth of parts. I collected a sizable deposit on this one. So, I don't know, this might be a one video series. Maybe it'll be this part of this video here and then another video in, say, 3 or 4 weeks when I got it running. It won't be driving. Front brake is locked up. He doesn't want me to mess with that. Doesn't want me to mess with the chassis at all. Gas tank's got a hole in it. I'll show you anything interesting that crops up along the way. Man, it's the next day on this project. The motor's torn down to the level you see over here. And the teardown was really kind of boring. There was nothing remarkable. No busted parts, nothing that's going to make the Hall of Shame. I just found one little crack on a primary screw hole. Of course, it's covered with fucking crud, so you really can't tell what's going on. But we're going to pull the cases out, split them, and start the cleanup here in just a little while. I do want to show you one thing, though. I have never seen so much sludge. The strainer screen is probably halfway clogged up. I don't know whether it's magnetic or not. Let's find out. Doesn't really seem magnetic. It's just, you know, no real gobs of fuzz. I mean, there's a little on there, but I have never seen this much crud on one of these screens and all of the engines I've taken apart. This is a new level of crud. But the rest of it, it's fairly just worn out, you know. Pistons are worn out. The oil control rings on the pistons are stuck. You know, the cylinders are glazed over. The valves are deeply sunk in the head, so it's probably going to need hardened seats. But yeah, just worn the hell out. Used and abused, put away wet. Okay, I told you I would show you anything weird that went on with this motor. Well, here's kind of a weird thing. This bowl hole for the top motor mount was just all busted out through here. Cracks, cut all the damage out, welded it up. That's pretty typical. But now the problem gets to be is this surface here, you know, where the weld bead ran over is very irregular and it needs to be flat because the motor mount sits on it. So anyway, I could work the damaged area with the file and maybe get it sort of flat, but I want to get it flatter. And the trouble is this. When I use the arbor that goes with the cutoff wheel, because my intention is to bring the cutoff wheel in and just cut it flat, this arbor's too short and the quill hits the crankcase. So I had to make an arbor for the cutoff wheel so that I had enough reach to get in there. So anyway, I've got it in there where I want it to be. And what I'm going to do is just bring bring the quill up until it hits the crankcase in this area, and I've got a 0, or I will have a 0. You know, and I'm going to use the old piece of paper between the case and the cutoff wheel to get it as close to it as I could get. I don't have any feeler gauges out here. I'd use a feeler gauge. So we'll just use a piece of paper. Okay, that's good. That's good height. So we'll turn on the Z-axis over here and zero it out at 0. We'll lock this down right here, and we'll move the workpiece over. And we're just going to bring the table in the case into the saw, and hopefully cut the lumps off here and smooth it up a little bit. So we'll see how that works out. Yeah, and I think that's all it needs. Feels smooth. I'm going to go get a mirror so I could see what it looks like up under there. Be right back. Let's see what kind of damage I did. Ooh. Oh, that looks good. Looks very good. Very happy with that. There's one little area over here that I'm going to have to move back and forth on the y-axis to get it flat all the way across. Shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, that ought to do it. Yeah, that looks good. Nice, and the weld is good. There's just a couple little bubbles I see in it. Very good penetration. I'm going to come in from the top to, you see the hole is half covered with weld. I'm going to come in with an end mill and clean the hole out. All right, I got one of my estate sale end mills over here. Looks good to me. Man, this owner significantly changed the scope of this operation. We're rebuilding the engine, yes, and originally I was going to put it back in this rather crusty old chassis, and he was going to do everything else. And I was talking to him about what he was going to get done with the bike and yada yada. And I said, well, if you're going to do all that, I said, I might as well just get the frame powder coated while it's here. And he said, well, yeah, go ahead. And he said, well, I want to get the front fork tubes, lowers, powder coated black too. I said, well, I may as well rebuild the front end for you, put new tubes on it. And he said, well, yeah, I guess go ahead. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. What's here is this sprocket cover. Got some chewed off area and some cracks. We're going to talk about welding it and how I fix this. Back at you in a moment. This sprocket cover. This is one of the early styles, of course, with the worm release mechanism in it. And the sprocket cover supports the kickstart shaft through this hole over here. And it's very important that the kickstart shaft stays in alignment with the corresponding hole on the left crankcase, otherwise the kickstart shaft will bind. Well, people tend to put sprockets under these covers that are too big. I believe this had a 23 tooth in it. A 24 tooth will fit, but it'll rub on everything. A 23 tooth sprocket will rub on some of the stuff. And you see here's where the chain has been rubbing on this side of the cover. It was sawing its way through the cover over here and managed to break out these bits and pieces. So we got to weld that. The problem gets to be is if I weld this all in, you lose where the hole is located, and it's very difficult to get this hole back in the right spot. There's probably a couple of ways to do it, but the way I'm going to do this one is I'm going to clean all this crud off of here. I'm going to drill through this hole so that it comes out the other side, and then I could weld this all in and then just drill back through it to get the hole where it's supposed to be. So we're going to grind all the crud off of here, drill this hole back through all the way, and get it ready for welding. Alright, that's good for now. Going to go out to the dirty shop, set this up on the mill, and that's why I'm showing you this operation, because the tricky part is how do you hold on to this thing? There's no good surface to hold on to. But we're going to figure something out. We're going to set it up on the mill so I could drill this hole straight through and get it perpendicular to the mounting surfaces. So out to the dirty shop, and we're going to drill this hole out. All right, we're going to back drill through that alignment dowel, and I got the socket that I use for taking off the right-hand nut on the swing arm right-hand nut. So this side has already been machined flat so that it sits a little deeper on the nut. I just pulled it off the lathe where I machined this side flat. So this side should be flat and parallel to this side. So we're just going to drop it on the mill bed. Going to drop this on top of there, and we're just going to tighten it down. And it should be reasonably flat and parallel to the mounting surface. If it was anything other than just drilling a hole, I would say this is pretty sketchy. But for just drilling a hole, that should hold pretty good. And you know, these alignment dowels are 0.310 5/16 of an inch. I got a drill blank over here I'm going to use to drop into that hole, I hope. There's a little bit of a point on it, and there's a little bit of a cone at the bottom of the hole from the previous drillings. So I want to drop the point into the cone. If I had one of them pointed wigglers, I'd use it, but I don't. Whoops, wrong hole. As the point goes into the cone, I'm looking for deflection on this, and when I see no deflection, I think it's going to be pretty close to on center. That's not bad. I'm going to put a drill bit in there and see what it does. All right, I think I got it. Okay, this is a 64th of an inch undersize. And when I'm all done with this, I'll take it out to 310. Well, I should just be able to run a reamer through it from the other direction. Well, no, I'm going to have to go back through there and drill it through the welded part and then go through it with the reamer. And that takes care of that. Just got done cleaning it up with some aluminum brightener, which is what I've been using lately before welding, and it seems to work pretty good. So we're going to give it a little preheat. The part's a little bit damp. We're going to dry it off. This chunk of brass is just clamped in the vise to kind of hold this at a convenient angle for me. So let's see if I can weld this without fucking it up. Untouched weld. I'm pretty happy with that. Good penetration, filled up nicely. You noticed at the beginning the black soot coming up out of it. I think there was part of a crack that didn't get ground all the way out. And what I have found is when your material starts doing that, and by material I usually mean old Harley crankcase material, you know, the heat is going to, immediately turn all the oil into carbon. It's going to create soot. You've got to clean that off of there, either with a wire brush. I went back in a little bit with the carbide burr and chewed it through that stuff to get it off of there. And once you get it burned out and you get clean metal, you can actually then weld it. So yeah, this welded up pretty decent. And see all these little black dots in here? That's shit in the metal that, the heat drew out. And if I were to try to weld over that, it probably would explode into a little ball of soot. Welding this crankcase material or cast material Harley uses can be very tricky. So I'm going to go back drill this hole to locate the alignment dowel and file this off, and this will be good to go. This part is available reproduction. The reproduction parts are halfway decent. This is probably going to cost the owner less than half the cost of what a new one would be. So he's going to make out ahead on this and save a little bit of money because I was able to patch this up. All right, so here's the finished sprocket cover. All of the repaired area, of course, is visible on the back side and through here. The hole for the alignment dowel, I drilled all the way through. After I got doing the weld, I drilled it from the other direction. That hole was right here. I filled the hole in, and you'd have to know what you were looking for, but you could really barely tell from the outside anything was fixed on it. So yeah, very happy with it. The bulging weld over here, just knocked it down with the file. Put it on a big sheet of sandpaper on my surface plate and kind of lap the whole thing flat. And yeah, worked out pretty good. Saved this owner some money, preserved the original piece, and this is done. And with that, I am out of here. Moving on to whatever the next part of this project might end up being. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye. Just a quick reminder, you can help support and grow this channel, first of all and most importantly, by hitting that subscribe button. So if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to do a little more, join me on Patreon. Links down below. So go ahead and join me on Patreon if you feel so inclined. And finally, coffee cups, stickers, and gas tank covers are available. This is a new design coffee cup. I like the old ones, but I like these new ones even better. And to go along with the new design coffee cup, there is a new design sticker. Links will be provided in the description down below. Coffee cups and stickers are included with the Patreon membership. And thank you all ever so much for watching these videos. I really appreciate it. Bye.